Like CE Anniversary before it, Halo 2's Anniversary Makeover saw the addition of terminals, a channel for extra storytelling first introduced in Halo 3. The terminals of H2A dive into Thelvadamy in the history of the Arbiter rank, which we'll talk more about after the guide. Each level, starting with Cairo Station, has one terminal. They can all be found on any difficulty, and like CEA, can only be found in Anniversary mode. The first terminal can be found on Cairo Station when you arrive at the armory. Look towards the next room, turn left, and the terminal is on the far wall.
Pursuant to Office of Oni Retrieval.
The second terminal can be found on the level outskirts during this beach section just before you enter the tunnel. This area will have a bunch of elite drop pods on the beach. Go into the one building on the beach, and inside is the second terminal. The third terminal is found on the level Metropolis, just after you take out the Wraiths on the streets. Enter the Lethbridge Industrial Building, walk straight back past these Marines, and you'll find the terminal on your left.
Vadamy's most recent.
The fourth terminal is found on the level The Arbiter. You'll come to this big room with two energy transporters. Before moving on to the next room, you'll find the terminal on top of this large platform on the back of the room. You can walk under it to find a ramp to get to the top, giving you access to the terminal. The fifth terminal can be found on the Oracle when you come to this room with heretics and Flood fighting. When you jump down into the room, immediately turn left, and behind this wall is the terminal. The sixth terminal can be found on Delta Halo in the room where you activate the bridge. When you enter the control room, you'll find the terminal on the wall to the left. The seventh terminal is on the level Regret, in this large room with a giant hologram of Regret. On the pillar behind this hologram is the terminal. The eighth terminal is found on Sacred Icon, not long into the level. You'll eventually come to this room devoid of enemies. Rather than activating the piston in the center of the room, go just to the right, and behind this pillar is the terminal. The ninth terminal is found on Quarantine Zone in the wreck of the Sentinel factory. Move through the wreck until you come to this large room. On the lower floor, opposite of where you entered, is the terminal. The 10th terminal is on the level Gravemind. After freeing the Marines from the Covenant prison, you'll come to this area full of foliage and rocks. To the left of the exit on the other side of the area is the terminal. The 11th terminal is found on Uprising. At the end of the Ghost Run, where the river ends and you find this small waterfall, you can find the terminal behind these pillars opposite of where you enter the area. The 12th terminal is found on the level High Charity in the Sanctum of the Hierarchs. You'll enter this room with these large doors, see an energy sword in the middle of the room, and if you turn to the left, you'll find the terminal. And the final 13th terminal is found on the Great Journey in the room with all the jail cells. On the top floor on the right, you'll see 3 cells. The middle cell has the terminal in the back. And that covers the location of each terminal in the game, though there are actually 2 more terminals for Halo 2 Anniversary. These terminal prologues were released online prior to the release of Halo the Master Chief Collection. The first is titled Beholden and shows the Covenant recovering a Forerunner device known as a Luminary from Meridian in 2551. A year later, the Luminary's secrets have been cracked, revealing the location of every Halo ring. It also reveals the location of a portal to the Ark on a world called Erde Tyrene, the Forerunner name for Earth. In short, this terminal explains how Regret found Earth but didn't know it was humanity's homeworld, and how he knew the location of Installation 05, 2 mysteries surrounding Halo 2's story that went unanswered for years. I can remember just how elated the community was with this information back in 2014. The second terminal prologue is titled Unyielding and shows Fred and Linda debriefing Oni. They relate some events from the book Halo First Strike, notably the destruction of the Covenant space station Unyielding Hierophant, and the fact that the Covenant knows where Earth is. The terminal then cuts to Io Station just as Regret's fleet arrives. The terminal shows us why Fred and Linda weren't with Chief during the awards ceremony at the start of Halo 2, but sadly leaves out another Spartan survivor who should have been present, Will 043. It also makes the highly questionable decision of depicting Fred and Linda in prototype Mark 6 armor that just happens to resemble their Gen 2 armor. I should love this terminal, and it certainly has its good points, but the decisions surrounding the depiction of Blue Team have always been a stain on it for me. As I said back in 2014, it's kind of insulting to think that fans wouldn't be able to figure out that Spartans changed their armor over time. Anyway, both of these additional terminals can be viewed on the Halo channel or on YouTube, though I really hope that 343 eventually finds a way to bring them into MCC directly, like I mentioned with the CEA 11th terminal in my previous video on this stuff. Each terminal has an associated achievement, each achievement being some play on the nature of seeking out the terminals and information, nothing all too deep. Cairo Station has the Oni File Target Profile terminal, which gets you the Curious achievement. Outskirts has the Oni File Honor-Bound terminal, which gets you the Inquisitive achievement. Metropolis has the Oni File Particular Justice terminal, which gets you the Examiner achievement. These first 3 terminals are a target profile and history of Thalvatami from the perspective of the UNSC, put together by then Oni agent Jameson Locke, ending with a recommendation for assassination. The Arbiter gets you the Monitor Report Heresy and Deed terminal, which gets you the Inspector achievement. The Oracle has the Monitor Report Containment terminal, which gets you the Fascinated achievement. Delta Halo has the Covenant Record Will of the Prophets terminal, which gets you the Enchanted achievement. Regret has the Monitor Report Unequal Union terminal, which gets you the Enamored achievement. Sacred Icon has the Covenant Record Taming the Hunters terminal, which gets you the Determined achievement. Quarantine Zone has the Monitor Report Divine Inspiration terminal, which gets you the Delighted achievement. Gravemind has the Covenant Record Ungoy Rebellion terminal, which gets you the Knowledgeable achievement. Uprising has the Monitor Report Age of Doubt terminal, which gets you the Scholar achievement. High Charity has the Covenant Record The Great Schism terminal, which gets you the Reviewer achievement. And the Great Journey has the Monitor Report False Journey terminal, which gets you the Obsessed achievement. Finding all 13 terminals gets you the Walking Encyclopedia achievement, appropriate given the nature of these terminals. This is also the achievement that will unlock the aforementioned prologue terminals in the Halo channel. Now, let's dive into the lore surrounding these terminals. The first 3 are a target profile and assassination recommendation for Thalvatami, the Arbiter of Halo 2 and 3, filed by Oni agent Jameson Locke, which of course ties into this moment from Halo 5.
So, you wrote a target dossier on the Arbiter when you were with Oni.
That was 6 years ago. What's your point?
You recommended assassinating him.
After we killed millions of our people.
It really puts into perspective just how much Thel personally contributed to the extermination of humanity, the sheer scope of his atrocities, though for fans of the book, probably one of the coolest moments was seeing Thel square up against Jai 006 straight out of Halo the Cole Protocol. Sadly, much like with Fred and Linda, Jai is depicted with a more Gen 2-like armor, Recruit in this case. While it does closely resemble the version of Mark IV used on the cover of Cole Protocol, I would have preferred a more faithful rendition, or hell, even the Halo Wars Mark IV. Literally anything from established canon rather than Gen 2 posing for Gen 1. Moving on, the remaining terminals are divided into two main groups, Monitor Reports and Covenant Records. The Monitor Reports show the conversation between future heretic leader Sessa Refumi and 343 Guilty Spark following the latter's arrival at the Threshold gas mine after the destruction of Installation 04. We'd known since Halo 2 release that talking to Spark was what awakened Sessa to the lies of the prophets, but here we get to see Sessa struggle with this truth, his slow decision to actually rebel, and perhaps more importantly, his relationship to Thel 'Vadamee, the supreme commander of the fleet Sessa had been a part of. We get to see Sessa struggling with the idea of trying to reach out to Thel, only to come to the conclusion that if the commander were alive, he'd likely become an Arbiter, and anything Sessa could try to say would fall on deaf ears. For fans who always wondered why Sessa didn't let Spark talk to Thel more during Halo 2, these terminals have a pretty solid answer. Although I would also remind those people that the station they were on was falling into a gas giant, so they probably didn't have much time to talk. Anyway, during their conversations, Sessa dives into the history of the Arbiters, the way the role was warped from a position of supreme authority and combat prowess to one of shame. This ties into the other half of the remaining terminals, Covenant Reports. These reports are framed as being filed by a Sanchayum lower prophet during the onset of the Great Schism, looking back on the history of the Arbiters. Through this, we see the role of Judge Warrior King that ancient Arbiters encompassed, to how the role was warped by the prophets following the War of Beginnings and the founding of the Covenant with the Writ of Union. We also get to see a couple of the more famous Arbiters in Covenant history, from the time of the taming of the Lekgolo or the Ungoi Rebellion. These terminals ultimately wrap up in a profile of Thel 'Vadamee, his outstanding service to the Covenant, and the question of what he'll do in the face of betrayal. The terminals created for Halo CE Anniversary were great, and Halo 2 took that concept to the next level in a lot of ways, but faltered in others. The Oni files and Covenant records were all great, but I've always felt that the Monitor reports were kind of lacking, as it all basically boils down to the same thing over and over. Spark talks and Sessa questions, never mind that one of the terminals is almost a shot-for-shot remake of Halo CEA's 11th terminal. But maybe that's just me. Regardless, I hope this guide was useful and this brief conversation enjoyable. I hope to get a full video on the history of Sessa Refumi and his rebellion out in the near future, so look forward to that. Until then, this has been Halo Canon, and I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching, I hope you enjoyed this guide. Halo 2 Anniversary has a number of other collectibles, such as skulls and collectible dolls, throughout the game. Guides for both are on screen now. If you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing and leaving a like. Leave a comment too if you're up for it. I always enjoy hearing from y'all.